Christopher Eddy says, Yahshua, not named Jesus, changed. Okay, so you have to understand, in antiquity, the Hebrew names come into Greek and Latin and even in Aramaic, and they get changed.
Isn't it?
So, like, for example, Miriam, Miriam, is the name of Moses' sister, Miriam. That name evolves and changes so that when the apostles write down the New Testament, that name, Miriam, is now Maria, which is your name, Mary, right? And then it comes into English, not as Maria, but as Mary. The I is into a Y. It's the same name. All right. If I say the Virgin Mary, you can't say no. You got to say Virgin Maria or Virgin Miriam, right? The same is true of different saints. For example, Elijah the prophet. His real name in Hebrew, I believe, is pronounced Eliah. Eliah. E-L-I-Y-A-H. The Y-A-H is Yahweh. Okay. El is God. Eliah means God is Yahweh. Well, it comes into Greek. So Greek doesn't like H's on the ends of words because the Greek language has to have the different cases, right? Yeah. The declination. So it becomes Elias, a S on the end.
Yeah.
Right? Elias, right? And then it comes into English. English people sometimes like to make that I into a J, and then it goes Elijah. It's the same guy.
Right.
Right. We don't have to be sticklers on the name. The same thing is true of Jesus. The real name is Yah, Y-A-H, Yahweh, right? Shua, salvation. Yahshua. Yahweh is salvation. It also is the name Joshua. Same name. Like the book of Joshua, that guy's name was Yahshua.
Yeah.
But when it comes into Greek, again, they don't like the A endings on the end because it sounds like a girl in Greek. So they like to put S's on the end. So it becomes Yah, instead of being Shua, Yahshus. Yahsus. Jesus. And there you go.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same name. It's just modified. And if you say, you shouldn't say, you should always say Yahshua. There's people out there, Christians, who say you should only say Yahshua. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, they say only. Jesus is wrong. Shouldn't say it.
So just like as in it's disrespectful? Or
yeah, they're
just,
like, it's not
wrong?
his name. It's like me calling you Moo Moo.
Even if the intention's there, it's just wrong.
They're like, it's wrong. Don't say it.
He doesn't want to be called that.
Like, yeah, you don't call him Jesus. That's wrong. You always say Yahshua. You've never met anyone that does that?
No. Never.
Okay, I've sheltered you very well. Okay, so yeah, there's people who say you shouldn't say that. But here's my question. Why did the apostles, Matthew and the Gospels, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, when they write down the name, they don't write down Yahshua or Yeshua. They write down Jesus. Let me put it on the screen for everybody. Jesus. It's kind of like Yeshua, but instead of having the A on the end, they put the S on the end because it's Greek.
Yeah.
Jesus. In late Byzantine, the S's look like C's sometimes. But when you see on the back of vestments or in churches, IHS or IHC, that means those are the first three letters of Jesus' name. And yeah, you'll often see, and then sometimes that I looks a little bit like a J, which is fine. This is also where when people cuss and take Christ's name in vain, and I'm not going to do it now, but for educational purposes, they'll say Jesus H Christ, which is very sacrilegious. Don't ever say that. This is ignorant people in Europe.
Middle name.
They know everywhere in church is IHS or IHC. Yeah. They see that everywhere. Yeah. So they assumed somewhere that the middle initial of Jesus was H.
Okay.
And this is where they get the blaspheme when they say Jesus H Christ, is they're getting it from this right here. You should never say that, by the way. Okay, so the thing is, Christopher, you asked, should we say Jesus or Jesus? The answer is the apostles, when they wrote down the Bible, they didn't write Yeshua. They wrote Jesus. They didn't write Miriam. They wrote Maria.
Mhm.
It's okay. It's okay if the names get a little bit altered.